I've just got a Rokoko Smart Suit 2 together with gloves and a head rig and a Coil Pro for all in all $6,000. That was a lot of money for me. And of course, I thought I'll share my experiences with you because I'm sure some of you are interested in it. And I've done my first few motion capture tests, and I wanted to show you, aside from Rokoko Studio, which we're going to go into in a moment here, how we can go and bring these mocap files that I've made there from Rokoko Studio, which is their capture software, into other softwares like Unreal Engine, because that's where I ultimately want to use it. It worked extremely well, I have to say. So I'm going to show you some tests that I've made directly in Unreal Engine. This one here was something that I've captured literally on the evening that arrived, just with the gloves. It was a long week for me, so I didn't put the suit on. I just put the gloves on and had a little test. So it looks a little weird because there's no body movement in this at all. This is just the finger movements. But what I found interesting was how relatively accurate it was supposed to be and how inaccurate it actually was. So this was done with the coil, and partly the problem with all these inertia-based motion captures is that the sensors don't know where they are. So accurate motion capture isn't actually possible. And they know that as well. You calibrate them in the standing position, and then the sensor can tell the software how far they've moved, but they don't really know if there's any drift that's been introduced in the process. So over time, drift is a thing. There's also, they don't know where they are in relation to one another. So if I bring my fingers together, it could come out like this, or if I clap my hands, it could come out like this. And that's a common problem because they're just inertia based. They're not proper position based. But this is where that extra $3,000 Coil Pro comes in handy, where that thing emits an EMF or an electromagnetic field. So the gloves then are supposed to know exactly where they are, and that is supposed to make interaction with other items or with other actors in the scene a reality. And that's why I bought it, because I thought, hey, more accurate. So I tested that together with the gloves. Didn't work well. Currently, my friends at Rokoko are sorting it out. I think there's something wrong with my hardware, so we'll see. This is me interacting with some little, I think with a book, and I'm turning pages here, and it's very, I can live with that. So it's very, very exciting. And it was the first test, and what blew me away the most was that I exported this from Rokoko Studio, literally press record, do your thing, hit export, import the FBX into Unreal Engine, and it just works. You apply it to a Manny or Quinn character and it just works. That is something I gotta say, I'm not used to that in 3D apps anymore, that anything actually works out of the box without major headaches. That is something I just didn't know that. So, but hey, this was just the gloves. This here is now a test in which I'm gonna walk around in the suit. So this was captured without the coil, because at that point it became pretty clear that the coil didn't work. Let me just go and bring one of these cubes over here, because I want to show you there's a little issue that sort of happened. I'm gonna go and put this, I'm gonna make this a bit smaller, and I just go and put that pretty much right where I start to walk. So I'm basically just, I'm here. I'm walking through the cube, but that's totally fine. I'm going to go and follow this with my camera here. This is me walking, and this is now without the coil, and it's just been tracked through my, I think, home Wi-Fi router. I didn't have a dedicated router set up at that point. But I mean, look at that. This is raw motion capture as well. So there's no foot locking applied. And I also don't see any foot sliding. I got to say, that's quite cool. Things like sitting down and kneeling down work really well. It still tracks my fingers. And this is obviously where I had my fingers together. And then it just captured it like this. So that's weird. But then I thought, hey, I'll go and leave our apartment and walk around outside a little bit, and that is where Wi-Fi connection struggled, or I suppose the full power of the Wi-Fi connection struggled, and this is where the capture data wasn't quite accurate anymore. So it couldn't quite track where exactly I was, and as a result it also had a problem understanding where I would come back to. So as I walk around, eventually I'll go back into the reception range. And I think this is me now going, closing the door behind me. I think that's how it works. But now that I go back to the initial position of where I was, that is, of course, not exactly where the cube is. So if I ever lose Wi-Fi connection or if it gets weak, then the sensors can't transmit how far they've moved, and that's where this discrepancy comes in. So I suppose the coil doesn't help with that at all. The coil only has a capture radius of about 5 meters in ideal conditions. So I think in reality it's probably closer to 2 to 3. So that means when you're close by, then you have accurate tracking. When you walk out of it, these sensors will take over, and then when you come back, it just goes and glitches. So that's not great. But yeah, so this is how it worked, bringing this into Unreal Engine. Let me just go quickly show you how that process works. So Rokoko Studio is their software, and that's free for everyone to use. But they also have paid plans. So the free version anyone can use, and that's the one I tested it with because I thought, hey, what can we get for free, right? The Plus plan I think is 20 a month if you pay annually, and the Pro plan is I think 50 a month. And the Plus plan includes live streaming so that you can connect to Rokoko Studio and then connect it directly to Unreal Engine or iClone or other applications, and then stream that data, record it straight in those applications, but you don't have to do that. It also has the video AI version that they have. So if you don't have a suit, you can also go and just record a video with multiple webcams, have that uploaded, and then you get mocap data back. So Rokoko have that as well for 20 bucks a month. And the Pro plan, I think for 50 a month, that has all of that plus facial motion capture. So if you want to use their solution and facial mocap and stream that into other applications for full package, gloves, suit, and face, that the Pro plan will be required. But the good news is I got it for free for a year. I think everyone who buys this gets it for free. And yeah. We'll go through the intricacies of Rokoko Studio next time perhaps, but I'm just going to go and export this clip out here, and that's on the export tab here with the clip loaded. You pick FBX and you basically don't change the defaults, that's all good, and then you switch over to the Unreal Engine export. They've got two versions, UE4 and UE5, so 5 is great because that's what we're using right now, and then you hit export clip, and that will go and take a moment because this is quite long. You can also edit it in here. You can also tidy it up in here, so that's quite nice. I've disabled the foot locks here. Similar system that they have in iClone, where when the foot makes contact is to avoid foot sliding. So the software detects when that happens, but it often misdetects it, and you have to remove it when you're actually jumping, or you have to make it shorter and all that sort of stuff. So you can do that. But yeah, this is exporting it now, and then once that is done, we'll go into, if that ever happens, we'll go into Unreal Engine, and I'll show you how super smooth it is to go and there's some kneeling testing I've done here. I'll show you how super smooth it is to actually import that with no problems. Navigation is weird in Rokoko Studio. It's a bit like Unreal Engine, just less responsive. I think it's actually based on Unity, this whole 3D portion here. And this was still captured when I didn't have a Plus plan, or the Pro plan. I think that's the other difference between the free version and the paid version. The free version can only capture and export at 30 frames a second, but the other plans, the paid plans, they can capture your mocap in 100, 200 frames a second. I'll go and click done, or even open folder, because I want to go and here it is. That's this is it, and this is going to be called suit kneeling day 2. I had already exported it, but this is the one with the number 1 behind it. That's the one that we've literally just done. So let me go back into Unreal Engine and show you the import process, because that is seriously cool. I think this one I'm going to call it, and I'm still getting used to that, day 3. I'll go and import that. Import from Lazen here. Just paste that path in there, so with 1 in brackets. I'll open that. Import dialog comes up, and in it we just want to make sure we're telling it to import only the animations, and then we also need to go back there, and then we need to tell it what skeleton this is made for. So otherwise it would try to extract the skeleton from the FBX. We don't want that. We just want to, we have a skeleton, which is in our case SK Mannequin. So SK Mannequin skeleton is the UE4 skeleton, and SK Mannequin is the UE5 skeleton. I have it in here. If you don't see it, then just import the third person template into your project, and then it'll the rest is fine. So textures, we don't really need that, or materials, but you can leave it on because it now goes and only imports animations. It doesn't look at anything else. Import takes a second. There were issues with the import, of course. There always are. We don't mind. We're okay. It's probably about smoothing groups. Unknown smoothing group, yeah, whatever. I don't even know what smoothing groups are, which is, one of those things. Let me go and open that up then. And then you can see that that is indeed the exact same mocap we just saw in Rokoko Studio. And that is pretty cool. So, any cleanup I can now either do directly in Unreal Engine on animation layers, or I can do it in Rokoko Studio. I can go bring it to iClone, mix it with other stuff, and apply it to any UE5 character of my choice. So that is impressive, I have to say. That is very good. So far, my experience with the suit, and I'll probably show you more about this when we get to it. So show you some live examples. Let me go and in fact, let me go and just apply this onto here. So I'll go and take this animation away, and here's my guy, and bring this animation over there. This was kneeling, something like that, wasn't it? Unreal Engine. Anybody home? What's happening? There we go, kneeling day one. So let's go and apply that. There we go. Now it's on the sequencer, and now it plays directly in the scene. So yeah, very, very cool. I'll show you how the capture process works live soon, and maybe we can do something together, including cleanup and all that. So that's something I'm already familiar with. I just don't know how to do it in Rokoko Studio. But yeah, I'm pretty impressed how these results come out without having made any fancy adjustments. So literally throw on the suit, do calibration, hit record, and do your thing. Oh, this is, yeah, I think I've stepped on something and I don't know how to do elevation tracking yet. So now I'm stepping off that. So there's a special way that you have to do it so that it knows you're actually going there. But yeah, this is sort of stuff that all these AI motion capture things where you upload a video, they have problems with that. Things like hands going through the body, hands not quite aligning with stuff, that is all things that you need to correct, but I'm okay with that. I know how to do that. I hope this was helpful. Look at that. This you can extract poses from that as well. It's very, very exciting stuff. So I can't wait to dig more into this and see what else we can do with that. Maybe make some short animations with that. Maybe even make some 3D animation products with that. That'd be kind of cool. But for now, I need to use this for Heart of Mercy because there's a lot of custom mocap that I want to use, and it's actually easier for me to just throw on the suit, hit record, and record what I need rather than try to do this from hand, because there's all these subtle body movements that just that just never get captured when you use canned animations. So that's why I got it. I will of course let you know more about it as I learn more, so that I don't forget and that you get to learn alongside me, because that's kind of cool. If you don't have $6,000, you can just see if it's actually worth it. That's the one thing that I wanted to know. Is it actually worth getting a suit, or are we okay with a $20 a month AI mocap thing, or canned animations for also quite a lot of money? They also sell animations. Did you know that at Rokoko you can buy $3 a pop? You can buy animations. But yeah, I didn't know all these things. So I'll let you know as I learn more, and as I learn to use elevation tracking and nail things to the ground and all kinds of things. Thank you so much for watching. Have a good one. Bye bye.